I do feel like I'm now on like protection mode a little bit. So you probably will see a different side of me now.
You'll probably see a different side of me too, because I'm exactly the same.
I'm a human being, like I'm not a robot. I think deep down I'm gutted.
It's nice to see people actually enjoy their honeymoon. It's nice to see people actually get to know their partners. So I give credit to Ryan and Shannon and Amy and Luke, because at the start I didn't think this would go well, but I'm actually surprised. And then Polly, given the smoke she had for Charlie last week, I'm not surprised. I feel bad for her. I don't like the way she behaved last week, but hey, it is what it is. And then Hannah and Steven. They are the shining example of having sex with someone before you know who you're dealing with. Because now they're in this space whereby it's so toxic, it's unreal. I wouldn't be surprised if they both chose to leave week 1. But anyway, hey there, it's Valerie. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Married at First Sight UK, Season 9, Episode 15. Honeymoon time, what could go wrong? Anyway, it seems with the last 3 couples, everybody's attracted to their partner. There are things about their partners that grate them, but attraction is not one of them. Anyway, you have Amy and Luke. They are sent to Barbados. Hannah and Steven go to the Dominican Republic, and Ryan and Shannon go to Copenhagen. As I said, I think with the honeymoons, it depends on who they feel is going to be the most toxic. I think they are the ones that they're giving the best honeymoons. And then everybody else who they think will get along, they're giving them, the less expensive holidays. So you have Amy and Luke. Amy and Luke, they were a bit cringe because you had Ryan who was doing a bit too much with his compliments, with his flirting and stuff. So his bride wasn't sure where she stood, and she was very anxious because she wondered whether he was there for the right reasons. But somehow they're finding a way to sort of moderate whatever's going on between the two of them. She seems at peace with him now. She seems happy with the way he's been behaving, the way he's been treating her. So as long as she's happy, we're happy for her, and I can't wait to see what happens. I think they could be a good pairing because he actually told her that, I'm going to try and sort of make sure I'm not a bit too much, because I think he likes his bride. I think she likes him. Everybody we know is there for clicks and likes. Some are lucky, they find love. Some are not so lucky. So I hope they are one of the couples that actually find love. You have Hannah and Steven. Well, we know on day 1 were really attracted to one another. I wouldn't be surprised if they had sex on wedding night. The only problem is, it seems, according to Steven, Hannah is a bit intense. So she wants things done at her own pace. So she wants to do what she wants to do. She's not sort of very flexible. And it's going to be difficult because there are children involved in this situation. If she's always going to want things her way, she needs to be adaptable. How is she going to adapt to that situation when it comes to her meeting his children, or her having to accommodate his children into their relationship? Because this is something else that plays a part. I don't know, we'll see. And then Ryan and Shannon, I think her name is, I keep mispronouncing it, I'm sorry. They seem to be in a very good place, because at first when she saw him, she said he was a pretty boy and she really wasn't feeling him. But I think getting to know him and getting to know his story has sort of warmed her to him. They seem to be in a very comfortable space. She really seems to like him. They're sort of enjoying Copenhagen and sort of doing little activities. I like the fact that he had her in this little cycle thingy where she was sitting inside and you were cycling her along. They seem very down to earth. Yes, they're superficial on appearances, but they don't seem very expensive. So hopefully this works for them, because it seems the two of them really want it to work. So with Polly and Adam, it's time for family visits. I think they're the last couple to have family visits. And we know it's going to be ox galore because of some of the off-the-cuff sort of comments that Adam has made, and the fact that Polly's friend doesn't like him doesn't help situations. So Polly goes to the friend's salon. I don't know whether it's the friend's salon or whether they just decided to meet there. And so they were having a conversation, and Polly's trying to she's trying to polish things up and make it seem like things have improved, because she talks about them having sex on wedding night, and then she talks about the fact that things haven't been going as much as she would like them, but she understands she also repeats, the comment Adam made that, if another man was interested in her, he would be happy to give her up because he's looking out for her best interest. And I give it to the friend for holding his, Polly's feet to the fire to say you're defending this man. But to me, it doesn't make sense, because how do we go from I'm not attracted to her to having sex on wedding night, and then him saying I would be happy for someone else to take her off my hands, and you see that as a positive thing? How? I don't get it. And the friend is right to say, I'm sorry, but I don't understand it. And I don't understand how Polly had smoke for Charlie, and yes, she doesn't have smoke for this man. Is trying to protect this man. And it's like, make it make sense. Make it make sense, because it's not at the moment. We're all struggling to understand where you're coming from. You have Adam, he meets up with his friend, and his friend did try and encourage him and say, she seems like a great girl. Try and make things work. I know she showed her ass at the last sort of dinner party, and so I've gone off Polly, sadly. They did have a conversation, and he's sort of saying, oh, I had sex with her on wedding night. Things, one thing led to another, and we haven't done it since because I don't want her to feel like I'm suddenly attracted to her. And it's like, say you're attracted to her, but you don't want to say you're attracted to her because you're worried that people are going to laugh at you, because your friend has acknowledged that this is not the type of girl you'd normally date. So you are attracted. There was some sort of attraction that led to sex in the first place. And I think if there were no cameras and if there was no one to laugh at you, you'd still go ahead and have another go at it. I wouldn't be surprised if you did. I wouldn't be surprised. And then Hannah and Stephen are the typical definition of don't have sex with someone just because you are sexually attracted to them until you know who you're dealing with. Just because you've met them on wedding night, you are attracted to them and you have sex. And then when problems arise, it's very difficult for you to untangle yourself from that situation because you've already given part of you to them. And you haven't got to know the person you're with. And it seems for some reason there was this trust that was built between the two of them that made, them feel so comfortable enough to share their innermost thoughts with someone you've barely known for 24 hours. Make it make sense. They had a fight because it seems Hannah didn't want to go for food. She wanted to go for a drink, and Stephen wanted to go for food. And so when that didn't take place, they then split and went their separate ways, and they must have thrown a tantrum. And so production brings them together, I think, to try and iron out the differences. So they're having this conversation, and you're having Stephen, because he did complain earlier that, everything has to be done according to what Hannah wants. If Hannah doesn't want to do it, then we are not supposed to do it. And the moment I sort of try and sort of disagree with her, then we have a problem. And Hannah is upset. She's saying, well, I was trying to do what was in both our best interests and make sure that we both got what we want. And it's like, but you're on your honeymoon. You've barely spent 24 or 48 hours with this person. Why not try and compromise? Why not try and do something together and see if you enjoy it before you start going your separate ways? And why would you want to go drinking? Why would you prioritize drinking over spending time with your partner? I don't quite get that. They fall out, and you have Stephen saying, remember, you said you wanted to get your way, and when you got your way, you were happy. And she then decided to go below the belt and try and bring out a secret that he had told her, and he had to shut it down because he's now saying, if she reveals what I told her off camera, that might ruin my relationship with a lot of people. And it's like, how emotionally intelligent are you? What made you think it was a good idea to tell a stranger your innermost thoughts, your deepest secret? Why would you do that? Why would you feel that was necessary? You put yourself in this situation. Now you have to deal with the consequences, because everybody else, including production, is going to want to know what you discussed with her. And the more you piss her off, the more likely she is to reveal whatever you said to her. So either way, you're going to have to deal with it. I would, as soon as I get my phone the person you're talking to her about and tell them what you said, and then hopefully they will forgive you. If not, then you're stuck with whatever it is, because at the end of the day, she's going to reveal it. I don't know why he packed his bags and said, I want to sleep in a separate room. I don't even know why he's staying. I think if things are so bad that she's about to go to the gutter with him, he might as well leave the show. Because it's pointless. For the rest of their marriage, he's always going to question whether she's going to reveal what he told her in confidence. And she was saying, I was trying to protect myself because he said something I said off camera. So if he's going to reveal what I said off camera, then I'm going to reveal. And it's like, but you said you wanted to get your way. That's not as bad as you wanting to reveal a family secret of some sort. make it make sense? It's cute to see the couples on their honeymoon, and you can tell because the producers, the editing, it shows you that only Hannah and Steven are toxic enough for the producers to want to give them a lot of time. We are barely getting to see Ryan and Shannon and also Amy and Luke. Anyway, with Amy and Luke, he has a massage. She refuses to get a massage, and then they go on a boat, which is very rickety and crackly. You can actually hear it. It's sort of making noises, and it's like, oh my God, where the hell are they sitting? I like the fact that Luke is sort of toning himself down. He's not too much with the compliments or the inappropriateness. He was asked, have you been in a serious relationship before? And he said yes. And it's like, well, he sort of questioned and sort of, oh, when you sleep with someone, is that counting as a relationship when you do this? And it's like, at your big age, you should know whether or not you've been in a relationship or not. Or are you afraid to claim someone, or are you afraid that someone might come out of the woodworks and say they had a relationship with you? Anyway, he owns up to one relationship. She's happy with that, and they believe that they can continue to grow. She says she really wants to get to know him further so that she can trust him. And it's like, hey, if that's what you want, amazing. You have Ryan and Shannon. Ryan and Shannon, they are very cutesy together. I think they're the least problematic because we barely get to see them. We saw them sitting in what sort of looked like a jacuzzi because they're in Copenhagen, and they really seem to be enjoying one another. Apparently, they haven't been intimate because, Shannon is trying to make sure that she knows this man, even though she's got a better understanding of him from the previous, situation, her previous initial judgment when she saw him. Because when she saw him at the altar, she thought he was an F-boy, but she's actually realizing that he's got depth to him, which she likes. And then Hannah and Steven. They are going to be it seems as though they've just tagged out Charlie and Eve for Hannah and Steven. That's the impression that I get. The only difference is you have Steven, who's non-reactive, it seems. Well, that's the way he's presenting himself on camera. Anyway, they have this conversation. They eventually sit down. Hannah says she's written down, what she wants to talk about. And they're sort of having... It's a point scoring system whereby you have Steven sort of trying to get points by saying, I've been in relationships, I've got children, so I know how to compromise. You don't like to compromise. You always want to be number one. You don't want to put others before you. And it's like, she's going to do that. She's a driven person. Yeah, she's got a business, but not everybody in the business is self-centered. It's interesting how she talks to people and how she behaves, and you think she would want to present herself differently. I didn't hear, and I'm sorry. I heard them say they want to continue their honeymoon, but I did not hear, I'm sorry for what I did, or I'm sorry for what I said. And I didn't hear them discuss whatever she wanted to pull out of the bag as her sort of winning card to score points when, he really pissed her off. So they've agreed to continue the honeymoon. What do I think? I think the producers told them either you continue the honeymoon or you go home. And because, they've got this expensive holiday, they've decided to make the most of the holiday because they don't want to go home. Do I see them clashing again? Yes, I do. I have a feeling they're going to clash before the end of this honeymoon. So this meetup between Polly and Adam and Alfie and Richard is interesting because you have two sort of different perspectives. Richard can see that, Paul is a great girl and he thinks she's attractive. She's told her she's attractive. He thinks she should compliment his friend better because of the fact that she's totally different from his type and she has more personality than his type that he normally dates. And so she thinks in that sense, that would be a good idea for them. And he's sort of encouraging Adam to say, you need to get your foot out of your backside and maybe try and sort of do activities or initiate the intimacy or initiate the spark. That way you can move from wherever you are. And Polly saying, oh yes, I agree with him. We do need to start getting on with it. So she is under the impression that she needs to be having sex with this man. And it's like, what has this man done that has made you feel like he deserves access to your body? What in everything that is done or said makes you think that it's a good idea to introduce sex? I don't get it. I totally agree. I never thought I'd agree with Adam, but I feel like if he's not feeling it that way, then there's no need for physical intimacy. There's no need for physical intimacy because it's just going to complicate things further. And surprise, surprise, she can't hold his feet to the fire and say, you need to make efforts. I need you to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G before we can be physically intimate. No, she's happy to, jump in the sack and do it. Her friend is right to say, Alfie, that, I feel like she needs to take her time. I don't feel she needs to fully invest herself in someone who is not feeling it that way, because he knows it's going to lead to heartbreak. It's going to end in tears. And yet she doesn't see that. She's happy to go along and have sex with this man. And it's like, how low is your self-esteem or self-worth? What makes you feel like this is a good idea? What makes you feel like, okay, let's go ahead and just jump each other's bones and then hopefully things will work? That doesn't work. We've already seen that with other couples. So I don't know what makes you feel that this is a good idea. Looking at the final 3 couples to get married, it's like toxic central. Well, one couple is toxic central. The other couples are doing amazingly, because you have Amy and Luke. They seem to be moving from strength to strength. Luke somehow seems to have learned to find his pacify button and has pacified himself from the cringiness that was the wedding day and the speeches out of his mouth. Anyway, they had a good night. They went to what looked like a little animal park, well, it's not a safari per se. And so they were feeding turtles, they were walking, they saw swans and stuff. And so you could tell that she really enjoyed this. And for Luke, this gave him insight into his partner, because he actually said, I enjoy watching her have a great time. And he told her that maybe the reason why you're very comfortable with animals is because you can trust them. You know that they're not going to hurt you. And it's like, well, you can never tell. It might bite you, but hey, if that's your perspective, hey, amazing. With Ryan and Shannon, they have a very in-depth talk. I sort of understand where, or the reasoning behind them being paired, but she would have got better help in a bereavement counseling then, if that's what they were aiming for, because she did speak about her dad and she became very emotional, and you had Ryan sort of stand up and sort of console her and sort of give her a listening ear and sort of try and give her tools to sort of help sort of motivate her to continue, because grief is a never-ending road and only one person can go down it. And so because he understands and he empathizes, it's amazing to have someone there. It's not that it's going to take away the grief away, but at least he's able to understand where she's coming from and why she feels the way she does. You then had Hannah and Stephen. Hannah and Stephen need to leave. They don't even need to get to the dinner party unless the producers are aiming on pairing up, Hannah with Adam, because I don't even know why. Anyway, they sit down for dinner because apparently they spent the day apart again, because, Hannah was doing a salsa class, which she didn't seem to enjoy, and you had Stephen on his own doing whatever he was doing. Anyway, they sit down for a conversation for dinner, and Stephen is saying to her, tonight I want to sleep on my own, and then we'll see tomorrow where we stand. And that gets her in her feelings, because she doesn't understand why he wants to spend the night alone. And it's like, well, the two of you are really not getting along. The two of you are really struggling. What do you think, Sherlock Holmes? Don't you think it's a better idea for him to stay on his own if that's what he wants? And she says, well, in your vows you said, you'd never go to bed angry. Yeah, that's going against his vow. You said you'd never abandon me, and I feel abandoned. And it's like, maybe because you're not a safe space. Have you ever thought of that? Maybe if the two of you could be each other's safe spaces, then things would work out better. But because every time you meet, someone is always trying to be right and yet always trying to score points, this is why you are going to struggle. And they keep saying that there are certain things he's not going to say on camera, and production is playing them. And it's like, so is he playing a character then on TV? What is he trying to say? What in particular did he say to her? That upset him so much that he's decided he doesn't want to spend any time with her. I wish he had agreed to spend time with her. That way they could have their conversation off camera. But then instead of Hannah being understanding and saying, okay, fine, you take your time and then we'll discuss tomorrow. Yes, we're upset, but we'll agree that, we're moving on and we're taking away the anger from the situation. Because at the end of the day, they both need to sort of pacify themselves. They agree that they don't have their network there to sort of help them sort of digest what's happened. But at the same time, maybe going to bed and just sleeping on it and then coming back tomorrow, you'll be in a better headspace to sort of resolve whatever issues they have. So because Stephen kept trying to sort of rationalize his reason for wanting to keep to his personal space, you had Hannah in her feelings, and eventually said, okay, fine, we're not getting anywhere. We're on a hamster wheel. I am leaving. And she went, no, you're not going to storm off and leave me here. I'm going to storm off. And it's like, this is what I mean by this is a competition. I don't know whether the experts will be able to save them, because it's too competitive sport in this relationship. It's too competitive, and there's not enough listening. It's always people wanting to get their point across and be the one who's right. And it's like, oh my God, this is why you shouldn't have had sex first. This is why maybe you should have got to know your partner before things got out of hand. So you have the couples meet up, and the only people that are not there are Emma and Casper and Rochelle and Orson, because we know they're having issues. Anyway, during this meetup, you have Polly turn up with Adam, and she's like, you know, the cat that caught the canary. She's got this massive grin, and the girls can tell that something ain't it, so they immediately pull her. So Holly pulls her for a chat. Turns out she had sex with this man. And it's like, seriously, one thing led to another, and you know, it just happened. And it's like every time one thing leads to another, it's not like he's attracted to you. What are you doing to make sure that you get what you want? Because it seems you're very happy, it seems you've got what you wanted, but is this a good idea? No. I agree with Holly that this is going to end in tears, because just because they've had sex doesn't mean that Adam is going to change. Adam said, you know, he needs to try and see if he can do things to ignite the spark. I think Adam was worried that she might leave the show, and he wants to be on the show and is going to do anything and everything to keep her on the show. That's the impression that I get. I don't think he had sex with her because he's physically attracted to her or anything has changed. I think he just did it because it's something he knew he needed to do in order to satisfy a need that she had, and he's done it, and that's it. Anyway, the honeymoons come to an end. So you have Shannon and, Ryan. They have had an amazing honeymoon. There's been no toxicity. They're actually enjoying each other's company. So am I surprised? No. I would have expected them to have an amazing honeymoon anyway, because once they got over their attraction hurdle and the sort of judgment that they went through, they were fine. You have Amy and Luke. They as well are in a good place. Amy's now learning to sort of deal with, you know, the cringiness that comes with Luke at times and his poetry. He gave her a tortoise shaped frame with a picture of them, which was cute, and he wrote a poem, which okay, to each their own. She said normally she would be cringed by it, but she likes this. She actually told him that she asked for someone who's romantic, and so she's learning to adjust because he is what she asked for, and they gave her what she asked for. So it's nice to see that somebody else got what they asked for. Hannah and Steven are going to be mess central. I don't know how they can overcome what's happened between the two of them. They had sex too early. Yes, they were attracted to their partner, but they also confided in each other too early before knowing the person they were confiding in. And I think they're only staying in this marriage because they're worried that someone is going to reveal a secret. Because he's worried that his wife might reveal whatever he told her in confidence, and his wife is staying in because she needs, the airtime. At the end of the day, I don't know how she can turn it around, because this is not a good look for her, because she is a business person. She needs to make sure that she follows a certain sort of code. Otherwise, this won't play out very well for her business-wise, but that's just my opinion. So next episode is the dinner party, and I can't wait to see what train wreck that will be. But anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 14. Bye guys.